Hello and welcome to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to ask you a simple question. What are your kids eating?
So the big question is this: how are parents like us, who don't have a manual, who are doing the best we can, who feel as though we aren't enough, how are we going to raise healthy, happy children who we are proud of and still keep our sanity in that process? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Ryan Roy, and welcome to I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, a podcast for parents who are being real with themselves.
Hello and welcome back to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be asking you the question, what are your kids eating? Wow. I mean, I literally just paused thinking if I want to even acknowledge my thoughts here. Just in other people are very, and you are too, can be very sensitive. And like, what do you mean, what are my kids eating? I feed them what I can make. And I started running down the list of, well, you don't understand, I work these crazy hours, so frozen food works. And then, you know, the vegetarian over there that buys all organic is like, oh, you cannot be ordering frozen food. And I'll be transparent. Listen, my family, we cook dinner most nights. Every Friday night, we order from a local pizza joint, and it's pizza movie night. I personally can't stomach the fast food, pizza places like Pizza Hut or Domino's, or the closest I'll get to it is my son likes Papa John's. He had a birthday party once, and all of a sudden he's like, I want Papa John's cheese pizza. So we've ordered that a couple times to appease him, but both Mom and I have a hard time with it. But what prompted this was, for the first time in a while, I had to hire a babysitter. My wife is out of town. I had another commitment, and so I hired this babysitter just for a few hours to watch the kids in the evening while I go to this meeting. And to be honest, we don't hire babysitters much, which I should probably talk about that too. Like, why do you prefer to have babysitters, not whatever? Because some people look at me like I have 5 heads when I'm like, we really don't hire babysitters. We don't leave just anybody with our kids, and I'll touch on that if I do the babysitter episode. But what are they eating? So I hired this babysitter. She was meeting at 5. I know she was getting out of work at 5:25. She happens to work 5 minutes from our house. And I'm thinking, she probably didn't get a chance to eat. Is there any food in the house? And I look in the refrigerator, and the shelves are fairly bare. There was no reason for me to go out shopping this week because my wife is out of town. There's plenty of food for the kids, and I can always have a tuna fish sandwich out of the cupboard, or pull something out of the freezer and cook. But I wasn't going to go and stock the house as if my wife and I are both going to be there and cook that way. There's plenty of stuff to make salads. So there's food in the house. I got to thinking, this person probably thinks I'm crazy for not having much food in the house. But if you look, we have a downstairs freezer, and it's going. If she knows how to cook, she can make just about anything she wants, within reason. There's stuff in the pantry, there's stuff, but when I think about it, I was like, maybe there's like a frozen pizza I could throw in for her just so she can eat, because she's not going to be able to eat until after 8:30 when I get back. And I felt bad. So I literally, as she walked in, I was like, if you know how to cook and you want to cook, there's food in the freezer, there's this, there's that, the other, but there's no quick grab and go food in our house. We kind of cook meals every night. The kids eat at school. Both kids eat breakfast at school. So it's really the main meal during the week for us is dinner. And 6 nights out of the week, typically, unless we have something else going on, we cook for ourselves. And it got me thinking, what do other people do? And I know we're in a society today where, listen, if you're younger and maybe you don't cook a lot, or there's a lot of fast food. There's people who just convenience-wise make things simple. And I don't know where a lot of people's diet lie. Seriously, what you are, what you eat. So in our house, and it's just something I've done being an athlete and trying to be health conscious my whole life, and I am by no stretch of the imagination, for those of you listening, like the epitome of health. So don't get me wrong here. But we consume water. There's very rarely any sodas in our house. My kids strictly drink, not even juice. They strictly drink water or milk. And it's not, at this point, it's not because we don't allow them. I've allowed both, no, not the little one, but I've allowed the older one to try soda, this, that, and the other. But because he wasn't accustomed to it, by the time he tried it, and it's not in the house, he's like, I don't even like that, Dad. Why does everybody like that stuff? It's so sweet. And the kid likes sweets, but he doesn't like soda. He doesn't like juice. And I'm happy for that, because it's just added sugar that we don't need to have. But my question to you is, what are you feeding your kids? Are we packing them snacks with fruits and vegetables and things of that nature? We load up in our house just about every week. There's bananas right now, because I did pick up some bananas. But there's typically apples or apricots or peaches or plums or pears, all the hard fruits, mangoes, pineapple, strawberries, whatever the season holds, we buy. Now the kids also have cookies and brownies and stuff like that, but they have the option of the fruit, or they have the option of that, and many times it's like a toss-up. Dad, can I just have a pear? Go for it. You don't even have to ask. But that's how I grew up. I mentioned in my last episode, we were just talking about, we mimic what our parents do. Your kids are going to mimic what you do. Do yourself a favor. If you know better, don't do it for yourself. Don't change your habits if you know you can do better for yourself. It doesn't work. But do it for your kids, knowing that they're going to inherit the same traits that you do. During the holidays, I cook a huge Thanksgiving feast. Why? Because my mom cooked a huge Thanksgiving feast. My mom always made trays of lasagna at Thanksgiving. Guess what I do? I make trays of lasagna. And people are like, why would you make lasagna? And we make it from scratch. I don't order frozen stuff. It's from scratch. Why would you do that? Because that's what Mom did. That's what I know. Why do you have 1 million Hostess cupcakes in your house? Well, Mom loved Hostess cupcakes, and I had them as a kid, and I want my kids to have that. But if it doesn't serve them, and you find yourself needing to curb your diet, don't curb it for you. Curb it for your kids. Maybe this is the mimicking week. Weeks where if kids, parents used to say, don't do as I do, do as I say. And it just doesn't work with kids. You can say that till you're blue in the face. It's not going to serve you, your parenting skills, your kids, nobody. Because kids will watch and mimic. And how do I know this? Because I have a 2-year-old, and I watch him mimic my 8-year-old. And I watch my 8-year-old mimic me. He catches everything I do. When I'm being lazy and I want to watch TV, guess who ends up being lazy and watching TV? When I'm super active. I'm like, I'm going for a run. I come back from a run. He's like, Dad, can we go to a park? Because he wants to run too. Whatever I am doing, he wants to do. Whatever your kids are doing, they're doing it because they're watching you. I'll tell a funny story. My mom, she won't be mad. She doesn't care. She often tells the story of my older brother. When he was 3 years old, my mom is a smoker. And she laughs about it, right? And she's not proud of it. But my older brother, when he was 3 years old, she walked in on him with a lit cigarette in his mouth, puffing and relaxing on the sofa. Where did he learn this behavior? I wonder. Kids will do as you do, not as you say. They will do as you say also, but oftentimes only because you do. So what are you eating? It's the same thing. Food is a huge problem in this country right now. What are you consuming? Ask yourself that question, and then look at yourself and understand your health and say, is that what I want for my children? And if the answer is no, I encourage you to change your behaviors, not for you, but for them. We'll see you in the next episode.
Do you want to be the dad you wish you had? If so, go get my free book, Be the Dad You Wish You Had, at BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com. Inside, you'll find my most effective 40 tips to quickly and easily transform yourself into the ideal dad. Go to BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com now and get it while it's free.